Good evening, everybody. We're back again.
We are.
We never
No, we
away.
seem to be spending a lot of time sat in front of our laptops or our PCs recently, don't we? There must be a 3-game week. Saturday, Wednesday, that sort of thing.
Saturday, Tuesday is what's the normal phrase. But yeah, Saturday was obviously Hull and recording after that. And then we had, well, you and I went over and saw Troy Deeney and Adrian Mariappa at an event, which is very interesting.
We did.
Sunday, I went off and saw the women play QPR down in Hanwell and recorded something, kind of commentary of that, which I do because it's fun. And then in the evening, I was joined by Mr. Mark Hancock and Mr. Mark Rose. Yes, that's right, 2 Marks. Go figure. And we did a little thing on the women's team, which will be coming out, but I just simply haven't had time this week to finish it off editing it. So that'll be coming out very soon. And then Monday it was prepping for Portsmouth and then doing Portsmouth and oh blimey, anyway. And then last night was all a lot of fun. But we're back because it is the opposition view for the game coming on Saturday against Oxford United. And Oxford United, there's been a few games where we've played them, and I make reference in this to the fact that it's sort of a derby. We've got kind of a lot sort of in common, you sort of, I appreciate they're a lot further out from London than we are, but they're certainly considered to be what I would consider them in the south, the Cotswolds rather than the Midlands. But there was a time in the late 90s whereby, of course, the thing that we've really got in common is the colouring, the yellow, etc. And there was, in the 90s, there was one particular season where, and I think this is unique, but I'm happy to be corrected as ever, that if you look through our kind of history of our kits on, there's a website, Classic Kits or whatever, there's one where we're wearing our blue and silver kit and yellow shorts, which are Oxford United's second kit. And Oxford United have one where they're fully resplendent in ours because they turfed up at our gaff, and basically the kit man had bought the first team kit to Watford. Good luck with that. So they wore the entire second team kit. And when we went up there before, because they'd taken all the blue kit, but of course they were playing in blue and the ref went no, so we ended up wearing the shorts as well.
That game in the yellow shorts, I went to that. It was 0-0. It was a really, really boring game. Who's in that picture? Oh, of course, I'm thinking who's the Watford player, but of course he's tackling Jono. So I'm wondering who the Watford player is in the away kit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very confusing, Peter.
Don't worry, that's just my entire point. But thank you for staying with me.
Okay, that's why I'm here.
Never mind. Well, no, that just immediately flew to mind because last night we wore the green kit at Portsmouth because apparently the ruling is if the home team keeper is wearing something, that might necessitate you to change to your away kit because they're playing in blue, white, and red shorts and red socks. Sorry, you would have thought that okay, we might need to change the color of the shorts and the socks to black, which we've seen because the under-21s have done it. But surely we can wear yellow and red because that might be nice too. One darker, one lighter, 2 bold colors. But no. I think we should go back to the 90s and start wearing each other's shorts again. That may just be a party I went to in the 90s. Who knows? Anyway, we have the game coming. Sorry, Justin, I didn't mean to let you down quite so early.
As long as there's no photos, we're okay. We're good.
Exactly. Well, look, let's get the opposition view bit of this done, and then we're going to try and make this nice and quick so that my family are reminded what I look like before they abandon me completely for the week, which would be nice. So had a chat with Fraser from the Fence End podcast, which is named obviously after their wonderful stadium, and had a chat to him about a number of things. Let's have a look there. Here I am with Fraser from the Fence End podcast, resplendently named after the 3-sided ground that you're most anxious to leave. We did that last time. Fraser, how you doing? You okay?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good, yeah. Are you well?
Yeah, relatively. It's Watford. Yeah. Everything's combustible. Don't put a match to anything. It could all go up at any point. But look, we're having a chat as ever prior to the game on Saturday at Vicarage Road. United are coming down to Watford. It's a sort of a local derby. We've had periods in our history where we've seemed to be playing each other every week and all sorts of things. But let's get into talking about things because your manager, Mr. Gary Rowett, is well known. But It's an interesting one. I'm looking at his sort of record this season, and it seems to be a little bit below what you would be expecting him. Your position is a little lower in the league than I'm sure you guys would like. However, the good news is there at the bottom is his personal record whilst playing Watford: 7 games, 4 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses, 1.86 points per game. So things are going in his favour. How's everybody, looking at Gary Rowett and feeling about Gary Rowett at Oxford currently and the season so far?
Yeah, well, he bought himself a massive amount of respect and time in the second half of last season. So when he took over last December, I think we were 23rd. We had 18 points. We were right down in the doldrums, and then he just took us on a mad run where we finished up. I think we went over 50 points in the end, and we've managed to find safety, I think, with 2 games to go. But we really should have secured it a long time before we did. I'm sorry that a win against Watford was one of the big moments of the safety campaign. But
we're very big on charity, and we were happy to make a donation whilst we came up.
It was very kind. It was a rare kind of Sariki Dembele goal, I think, wasn't it? But Gary Rowett. He's you're right in saying we probably hoped for a slightly better start to the season. It's how football has always worked, really. We've picked up points, but not where we thought we would get them from. Our first 2 games were Pompey and Hull, and they were 2 sides who we thought we'd be able to get maybe something like 4 points or 3 points, because they were both right in and around us last season, and we lost both of them. But as fans, we always know, don't we, that the points we picked up, as a fan, that there's a different story that could be told, because that Pompey game, it really should have been a draw. It was an uncharacteristic, ridiculous error from Cameron Brannigan, who's usually rock solid for us.
Mm-hmm.
The whole game, it was 2-2 right until basically the last kick of the game. We really should have got a point there. And, if we could play shoulda, woulda, coulda all day, we'd all won the Champions League, wouldn't we? Or each of our clubs. So we could do that one all day. But, Rowett's not had a great start to this season. But I'm sure he'd be the first to say that. But he's got a lot of stock in the bank. He'll have a lot of time and patience with the fan base. Yeah.
Very good, very good. I mean, let's have a look at some of the signings, because I said just before this, I'm not throwing this at Fraser. I don't think everybody looks at Oxford and thinks, well, what have they done? But you've made some interesting signings, here, I think. Tell us a little bit about the new arrivals. Lots of loan transfers, not lots of money being spent. I know Brodie Spencer I believe he's now out with an injury. I don't know how long for. But tell us about the new arrivals. My eye is drawn to Will Lancashire, because obviously with Mark Harris, it's always been a question of, well, who else? And Will Lancashire seems to have made a pretty reasonable start. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we the thing with Oxford is we strangely, we do, our owners are actually quite wealthy in Championship terms, but it's all down to it's not called financial fair play anymore, is it? It's whatever it's called now. But you have to have
profit and sustainability.
Yeah, I'm sure someone in a suit renames that every 2 years to justify a job somewhere. But you have to have the income, don't you, to have the expenditure power. And at Oxford, we just don't really have it. There's a whole backstory of our stadium we talked about before. But we have to recruit kind of with a lot of intelligence. We have to find kind of gems and loans, and we've gone into kind of European markets a lot to find players. Will Lancashire, who you mentioned there, from Tottenham, he's been really impressive so far. He scored 3 so far this season. He should have scored a few more, actually. He's one of those players who, it sounds really like it should be the case for every striker, but he always seems to be in the correct place to kind of score. It's you'd think would be a really easy thing, but it doesn't seem to be. And he's, for 20 and for a forward, he's kind of enormous. He's like a tank. But he's a really impressive player. A lot of people have commented already. He's probably got the potential to go pretty far in the game. Sadly, he's not ours. They never are. He'll go back to Tottenham eventually. But while we've got him, he's very impressive. You mentioned Filip Krastev. We got him again as a as a loan, but I think there's an agreement to buy at the end of it. Yeah, he's come in as an attacking midfielder, and yeah, he's one of those who he has a lot of YouTube videos of compilations and stuff, so you get very excited, and then but yeah, no, he's been quite impressive so far. He's yeah, he's one of those players who every time he picks the ball up, you think something might happen here, something could go down. I think the big acquisition we've made that everyone's most excited about is Bruyne de Keersmacher in midfield.
Yep.
So he's kind of paired up with Cameron Brannigan in the centre of the park, and yeah, he's really impressive. He's going to go far in the game, and I think he's going to net Oxford some money in a transfer one day that will come in quite handy, because he's one of those people who. He does have an error in him, but he's one of those people who's such a natural footballer. I don't want to say he's Kevin De Bruyne, but I don't think he's Oxford's Kevin De Bruyne. But yeah, he's seriously impressive when he's on his game. And yeah, sadly, I don't think he'll be with Oxford for many more years. I would say many more years. He's only been here about 5 minutes, but yeah, he'll go far, I think.
He must be a decent player to make that kind of impression. I mean, you say you don't want to call him Kevin De Bruyne. Obviously, you'd love to call him Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
But how would you describe his playing style? Is it De Bruyne-esque, or is he a different kind of player? Because
he just seems to every time he's got the ball, he's kind of running into players. He's putting crosses in, pinpoint accuracy with his movement. He's just everywhere. You watch a game and he'll do something, and then 10 seconds later you think, oh, who's on the ball? Oh, it's him again. How did he get to there? Where he was the other side of the pitch a second ago, and now he's kind of over here. And yeah, he just reads the game so well. He's always looking to go forward, get into the box. As he does have the odd error in him, but I think he'll iron those out pretty easily. And then, the other, I can't think of other acquisitions. Well, Brodie Spencer, he actually came on. He actually played last night. He started last night against Queen's Park Rangers. So I think he's kind of come over his injury now. So it looks like he's a really good acquisition as well. He came from Huddersfield Town as a transfer. We picked up Mikael Helik last year from them, and then we kind of went back and said, "Have you got anyone else?" Because Helik was very good.
Helik's very good. I like we
yeah.
Like Lancashire, like everybody else, we've been sort of linked to people in the past. But in fairness, we've been linked to most of the Western Hemisphere at some point or another. He does look good. Last night you mentioned that in the round of football midweek, where basically everybody in the Championship was basically had to get a draw. That seemed to be some kind of tacit agreement. We got one, you got one. You played 4-4-2. Going back and having a look at those earlier results where it was a little bit sort of tricky and sniffy in those first few weeks, it suggests via transfer market, which we always question, that you may be shifting to a 4-4-2, but that's sometimes a simplistic view and doesn't really explain the system. Is that accurate? Is that how you think you might kind of shape up in terms of formation on Saturday?
Yeah, the thing with Gary Rowett is it's always so difficult to know what he's going to do. He's constantly kind of tinkering with it, which is good, I guess. As fans, we often get really frustrated, don't we, when our managers don't change a system or anything like that. I think Rowett's pretty good at that, actually. He moves things around a lot. We've played a lot of different formations this year. I think he probably will go for the 4-4-2 again. I think he kind of played Nick Prelic as well in that roll-up alongside Will Lancashire last night. So, yeah, I think he probably will go 4-4-2 again. Looks like he's starting to settle into that formation, which is weird because it's kind of really out of fashion now, 4-4-2, isn't it? It had its time and then it went, and now it's kind of maybe coming back a bit. I don't know, but yeah, it's
well, we're playing a sort of a 5 or a 3-5-2, depending on how you look at it, either a 5-3-2 or a 3-5-2. So maybe some partnerships are sort of starting to come back a little bit more.
Yeah,
it's been long awaited, but we'll see. So we think it's probably going to be 4-4-2. We've got to look out for our how did we pronounce that? De Keersmacher, very nice.
Bruyne de Keersmacher,
and Brannigan in the middle has got a couple of goals already from central midfield, so we need to look at him. We need to look at Lancashire as a goal threat. In terms of here's something that I'm just putting up here, which is talking about the most minutes that players have played for. So again, the most likely team to come in. Let's just see if these personnel. Mikael Helik, who we just mentioned there, is top with 720 minutes. He's been in the squad. He started every time. Jamie Cumming in goal has done likewise. Cameron Brannigan, as you mentioned, captain, he's done pretty well there. And then the rest seems to be sort of it sort of trails off a little bit. Will Lancashire's done well, Sam Long, Brodie Spencer. Now it does indicate that he's got an injury, so we'll see. But are those the sort of players, any kind of hidden gems in there that you think are integral to how Oxford might play on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I think you might not see Jack Curry because he played last night. I think Greg Lee will come in for him. Tyler Goodrum's kind of out of favour at the moment. You might not see him, but everyone you mentioned up at the start there, I'd expect them to play. I think Spencer probably will play. And you see Ashemi Placheta there on your list. So he's an interesting one. He can score absolute worldies from his left boot, but it remains to be seen if he can actually stand on his right foot. I'm not sure that he can. It's or if it even exists. It's he can. He's one of those kind of, the modern way is left-footed wingers play on the right because they cut inside and all that sort of thing. Yeah, so he's one of those, very much one of those players. Worldy left foot. I don't know if there is a right foot. It remains to be seen. But yeah, the players.
I like the suggestion very much that one of your players may have a ghost right foot.
I think, it probably features in a David Icke book or something about. Does it really exist? I don't know.
Superb stuff, right, sir? And there we go.
There you go.
I like Fraser very much. Lovely guy. Made himself available for me to talk to at 9:30 this morning, having finished off the all of the stuff from last night. Really nice guy, and unfortunately, my kind of ever dwindling mental capacity meant that I kept calling him Fletcher for some reason.
Oh no,
he's too nice. He's too nice. He didn't even say, "Pete, you're being an idiot again."
I made the mistake when I was interviewing him on. I was doing a bit on TalkSport once, and I was just reading it straight off the running order, and I said, "So obviously Oxford City." And bless me, waited till the end, and he went, "It's Oxford United." Yeah. I went, well, it's in the running order, mate. That's what it says here. I'll blame the producer. Anyway, that's I mean, Oxford. I'm quite looking forward to Oxford coming. Actually, I always think that it should be a good match. Maybe I'm wrong in thinking that. I don't know, but I think I might be harking back to the days when we played them awful lot in the 80s. It seemed, didn't it? I mean,
last year we had two games that stunk both places out. They won 1-0, and we won 1. Was it 2-1? Or was it 2-1 or 1-0? One of the two. It was. I didn't think of it as a particularly great one, but yeah, I mean, it's there, and I think at the start of this 3-game week, I think I'd said I think we need a minimum of 7 points. If we win it, he's got a minimum of 7 points, which is you got to put your hands up and say,
this is the quandary, isn't it? Because as Greg said, I think on the phone in. He could potentially get. Is it 7 out of 9? He could get, isn't it? And is it 7 out of 9 points you get? And you can't. You have to say that's pretty good going. I mean, we might find him loathsome, but if he's getting results, it's a bit of a quandary, Peter. I mean, I'm not sure what to make of it all, really.
Well, it was an interesting spaces last night because there are some people who are going, well, hold on, give the guy a chance. It is too early, and you know what? Those people are not wrong. Full stop. It is way too early by any normal comparison. I've heard some people turn around and say, no, we don't think that the way that Gino operates makes us more likely to kind of want people out earlier. In fact, actually, he pushes against it, and that's an absolutely perfectly reasonable thought as well. Of course it is, to go, no, that's what we don't want. It's more a question of, I think, looking at Gino, and I do still think, and I appreciate one of the questions that we're going to get to on the Q&A, I do think there is the, kind of like looking at Gino here, because is Gino consistent with what he does? We still go back to that question asked at Parlaci Gino, which was, if he's on 15 points after 10 games, are you going to give this manager, who at the time was Ishmael, the sack because you did it with Rob Edwards? And the answer was, as ever from Gino, sidestepping as he went, to say, if he can do something that he believes is for the betterment of the club, then he will not hesitate to do it. I mean, we can, it's a little bit like hoiking off Iran Kunda. We might not like it, but if what he's saying is true, he's trying to do it for the betterment of the team. let's face it, Iran Kunda, well, not sure, but did it bring Vata's season to life? Absolutely. In those little moments that count yesterday, it absolutely did, and he was he was all the better for it. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to equate at this moment, just me currently, Pezzolano, and I'm thinking of him as Imran Loser, because for a long period of Imran Loser's Watford career, he has underwhelmed. He went away, he was putting up Instagrams when we'd lose and various little things, and he has done enough to turn us around and go, Christ, yeah, we'll all go and bow down and pray at the altar of Loser, because he has been magnificent since last season. He had periods before, but I don't think we'd seen anybody who would go in and grab the game like somebody did like he did on Saturday. At least in my eyes. Other people will turn around and say, no, we made a tactical adjustment, and he did, because on Saturday in the first half, Loser played deep, and he played Mendy, that well-known defensive midfielder, further forward, and he was about as effective as well. You can insert metaphor here, and then he kind of reversed it in the second half, which is fine. So if you've made a bum call on the tactical decision and you correct it, do we emphasize the correction, or do we say, well, why did you do that in the first place? Neither answer is wrong, neither answer is right, but you come out with 3 points, then as the boss, you've got to turn around and say, you're right. I was at a non-league club once where a game was played and the manager chose not to put a substitute goalkeeper on the bench for the FA Cup. Now, at non-league level, the FA Cup is hugely important in terms of prize money, all the way through the qualifying rounds and into round one and all of that. And the team won, from memory, it was either 3-1 or 4-1. And you think, we're absolutely home and hosed. And the owner absolutely berated the manager for not having a goalkeeper because you risked what was going on. And it was like, well, everyone looked at it, yeah, but it didn't happen. And he's going, well, yeah, but in future it might. And it's like, at some point you have to turn. Yeah, at some point you do have to turn around and go, look, he's got the result. He's made the gamble. It was a ballsy move taking Iran Kunda off. And there's there's things in the Watford Observer, and there'll be a number of things and questions online. All of them will be pertinent from people's perspectives. It was a ballsy move. I haven't seen somebody do that since Jokanovic did it to
Brighton, at Brighton. Yeah.
And he bought off a player we were talking about the other talked about on Saturday, Ikechi Anya, who was bought off, and then we bought on Terza, changed the shape and went on. Some people say shapes don't matter, but in that instance it seemed to work and do a lot of good. So there we go.
Yes. Well, we'll see. The mystery will be who is in the starting 11 on Saturday, won't it? Because you can never predict that. I think Adam Jury did a thing in the Watford Observer again. Here's my best guess. None of these have been good so far this season, but here's who I think he's going to start with. You just never know, do you?
One of the things has been, and comments have been made about that first goal, is it was a sort of goal that occurs when you've got no defensive stability. People on the various different commentaries were pointing out the fact that a lot of disenchantment, because there have been 20 changes, I am led to believe, in the last 4 games. So that is changing half the team each time and each time and each time. It may be reverting from one back to another, back to another, back to another. But if you're going to have 5 changes every single time, it's hard to quite get used to who you're playing alongside and build up partnerships, etc. In some ways. However, as points have been made out, he doesn't seem to know his best starting 11, and that sort of plays into that narrative. However, there is one thing that I was thinking about earlier on today when I was having a chat with somebody, and there's a point about medical, and I think there was a question on the old Q&A. There's the old Q&A graphic going up there. So I think we should go to that question, because there's a couple of questions about medical, and I just got a point to make about it.
The other thing as well, just before you do that, not one clean sheet this season.
True.
What
do you want me to say?
No, I'm just saying, not one clean sheet this season. That's a bit of a concern. We haven't been able to shut a team out. And as has been pointed out, and, no disrespect to the teams we played, but we haven't played any of the top 6 yet.
No, I don't disagree. I think we're porous, and I think, as we'll get to in a little bit, I think those first, and I've said this time and time again, so apologies for me to say it. I'll say it one last time, and that'll be it. Was you've got a squad, which I will demonstrate in a little while, has been built for playing a 4-2-3-1. In my estimation, we've got lots of then options to put square pegs into square holes. We conceded that goal in the 4th minute of injury time at Charlton from a corner that came across. Then in the first 20 minutes of the subsequent game, which was at home to Norwich in the Cup, we conceded 2 goals from wide areas. And then at that moment, on the 35-minute spot, if we remember, Selvik goes down with an injury, and then we changed to a 3-5-2 at that moment. And fair play. Okay, he's showing he's got tactical flexibility. That might come across as he doesn't know his best 11 or his preferred formation, or it might be tactical flexibility. Only time will necessarily tell. In order to get the time, he needs to get the point. So we will see. But I don't think that squad has been assembled to play 3 at the back. And one of the things that we saw from Adam Drury today was talking about the fact that none of those centre backs that we've got at the club, which are 5 centre backs, are comfortable on their left foot. And one of the elements about playing 3 at the back is one is going to be left, kind of pushed to the left all the time. And we've talked about that time when we had Max Elaine playing left back. Did all right, don't get me wrong, but his right-sidedness in terms of distribution works against him, and in terms of balance in and of the team, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
Good.
So did you say you had a question? Were you asking me to find it, or have you got it?
Yeah. You're in charge.
Are you asking me to find it?
Yeah.
Grief, Peter. Right, hang on then. So we put out earlier on. Have you got any questions that you would like us to cover off on our Q&A? And you very, very wisely there had the Q&A graphic ready to go. I mean, I'm just going to. You're going to find it again, or
I was very proud of it. Yeah, no, I
like that.
I think we should get. I think we should get mileage out of that.
Should they not say Mr. Q&A in that awful gaudy blue that you put against the red? Thank you. So in no particular order, Ben, Matthew 67, Ben, Jarvis. How's Jarvis? Do let us know. Why do you think loser? I haven't noticed this. Okay, I've not clocked this at all. See if you've clocked this. Why do you think loser wears black Puma boots in the first half in games, then changes to white ones in the second half? He plays shit in the black ones, he says. Just stick to the white boots, loser. The problem isn't Pet Solano. The problem is losers shite black first half boots. Have you noticed this? Because that is an attention to detail that I can only aspire to. Had you noticed this?
I haven't, but I would suggest the answer, as always, is shades of grey rather than black and white. Tish. Once more. I've got a button here that does that, and then I say it myself. Well, why have a dog and bark yourself? Do excuse me, everybody. There we go.
I haven't noticed this. So I'm not going to look out for this on Saturday. I'm going to look out for this change of coloured boots. Everybody look out for this on Saturday and see if this. I had not spotted that. So well done. Ben,
could it be like match worn shirts, where it's good to have 2 sets of match worn shirts, because the moment you wear it in a match and then you sign it, it's worth a lot more, so you're generating more revenue. Perhaps there is a black market in Imran Loser signed boots, and you can opt for black or opt for white.
Well, only the white ones, because apparently he plays shite in the black ones, according to Ben. So
I don't mind black and white boots. Back in the 60s, no, I wasn't there to see it. Before you ask. Alan Ball, who basically was part of the 1966 winning World Cup team, Louis Teixeira, look it up, and he famously pioneered wearing of white boots. I wonder what he would think today if he saw the various different colours, patterns, and everything. And it's a whole menagerie of colour nowadays. But there you go. I'm not too worried. I would suggest if. I have been impressed with how Loser has played first and second half. Typically, games will open up more in the second half because people get tired, distances stretch, etc. So that may be why his white boots are preferred from Ben's point, perspective. That's good.
Indeed. Matthew Kennedy says this might be harsh. See what you think. Ooh. Iran Kunda turning into SAR 2.0. That's harsh, is it not? That's harsh. I think Iran Kunda's done more in the first 9 matches this season than Sarr did in his entire career. That's probably not fair.
Well,
There's goals
yeah.
against Liverpool and all the rest of it. But I mean,
Well,
Aaron
no,
Cooper,
there's also the fact that in the season that was played mainly behind, almost entirely behind closed doors, he was absolutely paramount in us coming up and was given the player of the season. Problem was, none of us were really there to see it for very much. So it's sort of missed there in terms of the good points about Sarr. But I think what he's meaning is, has he got too big for his boots, and therefore, was the hooking you on 33 minutes a sort of like, no, get back in your
official line on that. The official line in that, it was a medical thing, right? That's what the official line is, that it was a medical thing.
I believe the frustration was that he wasn't complying with team orders. I think it was a no, it's my way or the highway. And in terms of that, we were discussing this last night. As you can imagine, throughout the day, more things come back, etc. And if that is the case, then perhaps to stop him, to nip it in the bud and go, no, it's my way. Maybe he's done it. It was, as I said earlier on, it was a ballsy move, because we know what this young man is capable of, both in open play and on set pieces, and also in open play, the winning of set pieces. I mean, he won the free kick at Swansea, got up, took it, buried it. Thank you. So it's a ballsy move, and as he said in the Watford Observer, it paid off, because, but the reason it paid off was because Vata came in and took his chance, and a lot of people are going, I'd like to see a lot more of Vata. We've got a lot of attacking talent. The question is are we exploiting it and using it to the best of our ability? Has he done that? The honest answer is I do not know. I do not know for certain. But if you're turning around saying, no, you've got to do this, various people were pointing out the fact that on Saturday he was kind of strolling back when defensive duties were needed. We need the energy as much as we can possibly get in every single game, because however good he is on the ball, if we can get something off of the ball and get him to chase down, because he's got a fantastic, well, as I've seen it, energy and enthusiasm. If he needs to channel that, then okay, so be it. I think the question's got to be, has he been effectively managed prior to that game? And the answer can't be yes, because if he hasn't, if they haven't picked up the fact that he is either fatigued, as was the official word. Personally, I think that's bollocks. But if he hasn't agreed to
on 35 minutes,
yeah, no, exactly. If he hasn't decided to, if he had decided that he's not going to comply with team instructions, then I would support Petzolano. I don't like the way he would do it. I'd rather him do it at half time in many ways. However, if he is trying to make an example of him, if that is the very point that he's making, then I think most people would actually turn around and go, well, that's fair enough. He can't get too big for his boots. And that's the question. And I think it's very, a very insightful and interesting one. We've got to hope that Iran Kunda can carry on the way he started. And, like all ballsy moves, there's a payoff in the short term, which he won. There's a payoff in the long term. He's got to make sure he gets that lad in and firing, because he could be worth an awful lot to the club. He could be worth an awful lot to the club in terms of points and contribution on the pitch. Definitely.
Yeah. So another question here. This is from Wendover Horn. Hello, Greg. Petzolano outlining that none of his five centre backs are comfortable playing with their left peg. Why did the recruitment team upgrade this area and only provide him with right hookers if he wanted to play with 3 centre backs? Right hookers is a great expression, isn't it? That's someone who works in the car trade there using that expression. You would think maybe you would have a centre back that could play out with their left peg if you're going to play 3 at the back, wouldn't you?
Ideally, and of course, most right-thinking Watford fans will go, right hookers, Isaac Success, possibly. Who knows? It would be, no, I don't disagry with it, and I think it's I think it's an interesting thing, but it adds to my theory that you've had there are no end of full centre back partnerships where both are right-footed, and it doesn't cause a huge amount because you're playing most of the time centrally, and you're not necessarily playing further wide with a sweeper or a third centre back in the middle. And that's one of the reasons why I suspected it was more. We're looking at a 4-2-3-1 because it doesn't look like we've recruited a whole host of centre backs to cover that. Now, we've spoken about having a left-sided centre back all the way back to and including before Hoot, and then when we had Hoot, Tikvich was supposed to be that, and then everyone went Tikvich, yeah, not very good. Poor lad's injured now, which is a shame, and I wish him a good return where he's now playing. But we've never kind of dealt with that. Obviously, left-sided centre backs, God blimey, are very much at a premium in comparison to right-sided in terms of availability. So for me, it feels far more that we were looking at and recruiting 4-2-3-1. And when you look at the balance of the squad, I think that's well, I think it's almost certain.
So Mikey's pointed out here, if a new manager does come in during the international break, the first 6 games of his tenure are a bit of a baptism of fire. Sheffield United, West Brom, Coventry, Borough, Ipswich and Bristol City. That's not a good start for a new coach or any coach, really. I mean, I hope he is going to utilise the international break slightly better than he did the last one, because I know it's difficult with players going away and all that sort of stuff, but we came back from that and didn't look as if we were actually firing very much, did we, in September?
I don't think there is any certainty that he will be gone in the international break at this moment in time. I think because it will be dependent on,
you think, in the last 2 games.
No, I think he has to do more in the next game. But there was an interesting conversation that I was part of, which was, if you imagine that you are Gino Pozzo or you're Scott Duxbury, there is normally a whole load of crap flying your way from supporters. Hasn't been for a few weeks now, because people are looking at the manager and people are talking about the manager.
But they're above him. They appointed him, so I think there is some flack coming. I have seen.
Consequently, there should be, you would think, because ultimately we come back to something that we've said all along, which is we're not bad at firing managers. We're shocking at recruiting and supporting them in the right way. However, I think if you look at this squad, if you play in the right combination of shapes, and for me, the base would be a 4-2-3-1, because literally with tiny micro adjustments, you're into a 4-3-3 or into a 4-4-2. I'll show you in a little while. It's very, that works in many ways, but it's not just a formation. A system of play is never just a formation. It's got to be how are you going to play when you have the ball? How are you going to play when you haven't got the ball? Are you going to press? We heard the instructions as to what we were going to do. We haven't really played in that manner. We haven't really gone and pressed the ball. And what are we going to do in transition? And that seems to be what's evolving, has been more the fact that we will sit and we will hit people on the counter attack. That seems to have kind of been the sort of, it looks like the evolution of where we're maybe getting to, is being a counter-attacking side, utilising some of the pace, utilising some of the personnel that we've got. And, that's where I think we're sort of manoeuvring to. But I don't think that would be the end state either. I think it would constantly be moving and being adjusted by Mr. Pezzolano.
Yes, let's do one more of these then. Seeing as Pezzolano's getting a few things lost in translation, what's the best unintentional foreign language F-up you've done or seen? Now, I know mine off the top of my head. I'm one of these people that when I go away somewhere, I can kind of pick bits up of the language and start using it, and I'm kind of understood-ish, I think, as I go along. So I've got a spattering of various languages that I don't actually. Doesn't actually come into my brain until I'm there and I start listening. And okay, I probably can pick a few bits. And I was in the Canary Islands, and I was in Fuerteventura, and there was a souvenir shop or something, and we were thinking about getting a little sort of Spanish dress for one of the nieces. I can't remember. She's 2. So I held this dress up to the guy in the shop, and I said, "Dos años," and he sort of looks at me a bit like
2 years old.
I'm thinking I'm saying 2 years old. Dos años, and he's looking at me like, what? He goes, "Oh, dos años." I went, "Yeah, dos años," and he sort of walked off, laughing. And then when I looked up what I'd said 2 arseholes.
You didn't have the inflection of and yus. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I said two arseholes, and
Yeah.
that's probably why he was a bit confused while I was holding this up in his shop. So that's probably mine.
Very nice. My main one is the fact that yeah, having gone, we often kind of holiday in an Ibiza for 20 odd years, so I have a a smattering of pidgin Spanish, which is always a nightmare because there's only two reactions. One is that they'll clock that you're English and therefore talk to you in English, because anybody in any pretty much touristic element of Spanish normally speak fantastic languages, and especially English, and then they just turn around and talk to you in English, in which case you're not doing it. But worse still is when you go in and you go, and you say, yeah, I want to make a reservation here tonight, and you've done it, and they've gone brilliant, and then they turn around and go, oh right, fine, bang, and suddenly you find your level of incompetence very, very quickly and at speed. And in that sort of, you're kind of sitting there going, crikey, this does feel like a Pet Solano team talk at the end of the game. This is really coming thick, fast, and staccato. Never mind.
Yeah. Just quickly here, thoughts on Doumbia's lack of involvement after great promise last season in his natural position. I forgot we had him. I've forgotten about Doumbia. Have you not forgotten about Doumbia? I mean, we're all talking about Kieramgard on the bench and all this sort of stuff, and Semedo. We've still got Doumbia, of course.
I think he's not impressed Pet Solano when he played him in that sort of he played him behind Kieramgard in the game of the blue shirts, everybody, against Blackburn, and he didn't have the greatest. I think there's a lot of time for Doumbia to still progress. I agree with you absolutely. I thought he made a great initial season last year. He's now got more competition, because don't forget he only had Bio. And he was getting in front of him. But as I've said, I think in a year's time, not at this moment, I don't think any of the three are quite ready, but with a bit of development and a bit of, I think we could end up having three really decent centre forwards when they've got another year and another year of development on their CVs. Doumbia is also, as I said, he started learning playing with his back to goal last season, because prior to that, in any footage you can see, he would play off the right side as an inverted winger. He's tall, yes, he's strong, but actually he can do that. But instead, we played him on the left, and because I think he wanted somebody to kind of go and play down the left side, and that's really not his game. He's very, very technical, but he's not a speed demon to go and break down the outside and then cross the ball. He's far more of a he's got a lot more technically in his feet than we've really seen, to my mind. So I agree. I would love to see more of him. I'm surprised that Kieramgard has been kind of stuck a little bit in the wilderness in the last couple of days, and again you wonder why that has been the case. However, nature abhors a vacuum, and I have to say, I thought against Millwall, I thought Semedo stunk the place out. I thought he was fucking awful. I really did. But the lad seems to have a quick learning curve, because he went through that first half and he had, he did some good things, but you're going to go through that learning curve. There was that ball from Loser that came across, and if he took one touch, he took three, and he was shut down. And it was like, because from the similar position, from Iran Kunda putting the ball across to a very similar position, not identical by any means, across to Kieramgard against QPR, he buries it. Now, this was a little bit further out, and it was no, I'm not comfortable. I need to put it on my left foot. I need to take a touch. Oh, not taking a great touch. I need another touch. Now I'll try and take and by the time that's happened, the Blackburn, was it the Blackburn player? No, the whole defender has come across and blocked him. Fair play, though, because through that first half, he kept running, making runs for it. He kept trying. There was a moment in front of the family stand where you and I were both sat, and he got to the ball first, took a touch, killed the touch, got absolutely taken out by the defender, and the ref just went, play on. He didn't get anything for it. And I wondered how he was going to react. And he seems to have taken it as, right, I've got to man up. I've got to be strength. and I thought he did. I think he's done very well since. So fair play, and I've got to say fair play to Petzolano, as people have said beforehand, especially with that whole game when I turned around and said I don't think he's done very much, and somebody said, "Well, he's kept Semedo on, and it's worked." So, like similarly to the other changes, if it's working, as I say, let's see whether or not he'll be an Imran loser and make it work correctly in that direction. We will see. We will see. Right. I'm just going to try. There was one other question which I just wanted to quickly go to, and I'll see whether or not I can do it, but I need a bit of jiggery pokery. Bosh, there we go. So one of the questions that came up was saying, if we were in charge, or what would be our starting 11, or what would we think? And therefore, as ever, we're forever trying to stretch the boundaries of what technology can, and in many instances, what it can't do. It's kind of, I thought I'd put this together. This is the 4-2-3-1 shape that I've been sort of discussing. Now, I think if we start at the goalkeepers, personally, I would have kept Baxter in place, because if you're going to have somebody who's a decent backup, you need to make him think that he's got a chance of winning the shirt outright, and that's what will put competition on Selvig. I think it sends the wrong message to have dropped Baxter, but fine. You know, goalkeepers make mistakes; they make mistakes. If we were to play this 4-2-3-1, now here I'm playing Iran Kunda in the hole. So if for those people listening, I'm saying at the moment, Selvig, I'm playing Petrus at right back, I'm playing Elaine, and I'm playing Pollock as two centre backs, and on the left I'm playing Wiley. I'll explain why in a minute. A central midfield pivots or fulcrum in front of the two of those being, I would suggest Loser, but there is a good argument to get in Loser forward, and I would go with Hector Cipriano at this moment in time. We'll have a look at the other options that we have. The 4-2-3-1, I'd go with at the moment after yesterday. I'd go Vata on the left. I would go with Iran Kunda in behind. At the moment, I put him in Kieran guard, but I've already mentioned why I was quite impressed with how Vivaldo Semedo has come on a journey in the last few days, and he's got undoubted potential. That also allows us to play on the right Quadro Bar. Now, there's some instances to this, and this is what I mean by a little bit of the system. When we played Max Elaine in the game against Blackburn, he would be playing in the left back slot where currently I've got Wiley. I'm not entirely convinced with Wiley. However, the thing that he will do is undoubtedly he will give you an ability to get forward, and what that does is it allows our right-sided left wing player, in this case Vata, to push inside, but it gives you natural width in order to be able to, from Wiley's position, to cross the ball in. When we played with Elaine in that position and he got forward, he couldn't put the cross in. He had to tug back. Same thing has happened with Jeremy Ngakia, who's put in fine performances down the left. Not a critique of him. It's about, for me, it's about balance and whether we do something with that. Now, if you think about the players who can play across that midfield or the second attacking area, shall we say, you've got a whole host who can do that. You could play Ince as a right-sided inverted winger. Chakvetadze, when fit, would absolutely be competing for that left-sided slot, which we know again with Vata straight away. You've even got Marma, who's pulling up trees in the under-20s for Morocco. There's a whole host of players who could give us options there. However, on the right side, we have a different problem. And this is why, for me, Ngakia might be better than Petrus, because if we go down the right side, when we played, Petrus is always bombing on. And what you see from Quadro Bar is he doesn't want to cut inside and therefore, leave space and need a wide area from Petrus. He wants to isolate his fullback, and he wants to instead, wherever possible, get in and attack either down the parallel wing, or attack the byline, the intersection between the 18-yard box and the 6-yard line. What he doesn't need is somebody coming up and getting in his way, being on the outside. So in that instance, you might consider that actually we might swap it over to Ngakia. Who knows? We will see. Maybe Ngakia comes in for him. So there's a whole host there. But if you look at those players and look at those shape, at the back, we would have, right back, as I mentioned, Patrice. If we don't, unless it's Bar on that side, if we're playing inverted, we could play Dumbia there, for example. If he's playing inverted, then Patrice is fantastic because he gets forward. He's a proper wing back, absolutely. On the left, I want to have a natural left-footed left back because I want that passing option, that crossing option that I've mentioned. So it kind of changes from one side to another. In the centre backs, I mean, the centre backs that we've actually got potentially available are exactly as we heard on. They're many. We've got a Banquo, we've got Kebban, we've got Foremost Mendy. I think you pays your money, you takes your choice. I chose to put in Pollock and Elaine, not necessarily out of preference, but more out of the fact that Elaine seems to be on a sort of if you're fit, you play sort of thing. And he has shown, I thought he looked really good against Portsmouth. Fantastic ball up for the second goal. Was really good. And Pollock, of all things, he's pretty handy at he's played that left back slot quite a lot. So I'd probably leave him there. I'd probably say, yeah, maybe I'll start with you. Maybe someone else will come in. Very unfortunate for Kevin, who's done a lot of good. As I say, in the midfield, we've got a whole host who can come in as backup because you've got Mendy, you've got Kayembe, you've got Sissoko, and you've also got, of course, Duomo, who seems to have been playing for the under-21s after a little bit of an injury and a knock. This is what I mean. You've got options after option after option. Kieran, that's who I'd probably start with at the moment, having seen what we've got from Vivaldo Semedo. He's putting pressure on him. And also, I'd love to see Dumbia. But that would probably be what I would do. Then you would see about, okay, how are we going to defend out of possession? And that would be, a whole host and a whole area of elements to decide. But you could change that Iran Kunda player and bring in another midfielder and then drop him a little bit deeper, and you're immediately into a 4-3-3. You're asking different questions. You could have basically bring Dumbia onto that, push him up, and you're almost immediately at a 4-4-2, which is obviously what we did in one of the games. Was it Blackburn? It may well have been. So
it's one that we won. So
yeah, so it's a very
Southampton. It was Southampton.
Oh yes, absolutely. Well, which we do, but yeah. So it's a very flexible potential option, and that those were my sort of thoughts on that. Just to throw them in to see what everybody thought. Now, those are exactly like, oh, hello, what have I done there?
Hello, Fraser, or whatever Peter likes calling you, Franklin, or whatever it was.
Yeah. Those are like everything else, just an opinion, just a thought. But that would be somewhere where I do it, because you would literally be able to take one player out and put somebody else in. They might have different criteria and elements to them, but they would absolutely fit square pegs into square holes. Rather than when we've got the three at the back and three in the midfield, have we got two out? Have we got three out and out, best midfielders? I think you could argue that other than Loser yesterday, we haven't got anybody, because I don't think Mendy's looked particularly great. He's also got the physical stature, so height simply helps if you're in the middle. Cipriano hasn't looked like him not being included in Hull has done him any great shakes from a medical point of view or anything like that. And Kayembe's done all right. Kayembe can have good games, and I won't say much more about our friend Sissoko, apart from the fact that I presume that this is probably going to be his last season as a player. I shouldn't wonder.
Somebody put up today, I can't remember what it was, but it's along the lines of Watford games are more enjoyable if you watch it through the prism of it being Sissoko's testimonial match, which absolutely that. Yeah. Bar, of course, is only getting 5 minutes. You've included him there on a starter on the right hand side, but not necessarily, like you said, he wants to get in and get into that gap in the between the 18 and the 6-yard box. But would you start Barmore? Would you give him more time? He got 5 minutes last night. Seems a bit.
I think. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sort of talk. I'm putting this together in a bubble of non-reality. There's all sorts of reality that hits the actual manager as to what he's going to do, because is it defensive enough? What are we going to do? Do you push? Are you going to turn around and just leave Loser holding, or what? Personally, I'd have Loser being the next player who who goes from midfield and joins in, and ask Hector, the protector, to do that role. Ideally, I'd make sure that if we had a right back or a left back who's pushing forward, the others basically slot over and turn into a 3, because that's what I used to do as a coach. And so you've got a 4 kind of way diamond almost as a structure to defend. I think if you can get something out of Bar, then to start with, then what a player we've got. He needs to he needs to be properly fit. We need to work out how we're going to play into him. We need to work out when we support him and when we leave him the hell alone to and not crowd his own space, because that's half the problem. Because of course, don't forget, if Petrus is there, and this is having to go at him because he's hardly played next to him, but imagine that Quadro Bar's got the ball and he's wanting to either push in or get to the line, and suddenly Petrus is overlapping him. It's not just Petrus, it's the player who is covering Petrus. It's a reduction in space that's so much. I used to play a 3-4-1-2, and I told my wing backs all the time, show inside, always show your opposition players inside. And what we used to do was basically just cluster with bodies, not just our own but the opposition, on the inside. So if you're trying to create space, you need to know when you're looking to create space. On the left hand side, where we've got Vata and we've got Chakfatadze, for example, and others are available, of course, they will invariably do that little chink and the run in. And the moment they push inside, they're creating space on the left, which is why I want a natural left back. I don't want Boller, because I want somebody who can actually deliver it. And out of 2 options, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, and Wiley is the best of those options and could really go on to do something. But I think he gives us more going forward. And I'm not the person who's sitting there saying, I want this because I want to make sure that I've got the job in a few weeks' time, etc. I haven't got any of that pressure. It's spitballing, and but as a coach. And I was far more of a developmental coach than a just wanting. Firstly, I wanted to play front-footed attacking football. I wanted to play the football that I wanted to watch and see, and I found that players react to you asking the best of them rather than you asking the worst and the most cynical. So I would do that. Would it be called out as naive? Would people turn around and say, well, if you're pressing high with that, they'll play in the background? It gives you width, it gives you options, it gives you a chance to go forward and play attacking football, which is why I like it. But hey, mine counts no more than anybody else. It's just I had some software and I thought I can have a play around with this.
I realised that this last 20 minutes is all Sten because of that. That's fine. That's not lost on me at all. That's. I suppose we ought to have a look at some predictions at some point, hadn't we? Is that going to be part of it?
I think it's absolutely true that we should. I think
the DNSYE Completely Rubbish Prediction League.
No! God, please, no! No!
Yes. Well, what can I say? I haven't even bothered doing a league table. Do you know why?
Lack of time, I imagine. You've not stopped.
Pretty much. Well, no, not only that, the bloody EFL have got another 3 points. Because
how dare they?
And God damn him, he went 2-2, so he did. But I have to say, DNSYE are finally off the launch pad. You got 2 points, which is very, very good. You went 0-0, and because it was 2-2, you've got the same score difference and the right result. So you've got 2 points. So things are better. But let's get to the predictions, because that's really, let's be honest, that's what we want. Let's start with AFC Postbox, who again is doing great things, having had a 1-1 result. He also got 2 points. Look at this. 4-3 to Watford due to the letters in the post boxes in Margate. He has pointed out the fact that he has said, look, clearly the letters don't know what they're doing, because, as he said, if they did, they would have so far forecast a Watford defeat, and they haven't, and yet he is in second place. So, what can you say? 4-3, no stool samples or anything else, which is
yes, a lack of stool samples this week. People at Margate, get yourself checked.
It's very pleasing. Well, as I say, the EFL are absolutely bombing on this. So I obviously turned to Fraser, who I was busy calling Fletcher at the time. Said, what do you think? What do you think it's going to be? This is what he said. What do you think the score is likely to be come Saturday? Now, previously you weren't allowed 1-1 results or something that other. all this has been simplified. It's been stripped away. You may pick whatever score suggestion you think is applicable, sir.
I, for once, am going to be brave, and I think Oxford are going to find a win. I'm sorry to say, I'm really sorry to say. I think Oxford are going to win 2-1.
2-1. 2-1. That's not what we want going into the international break. What we need is a rousing win so that everybody can, go, oh, he's staying then, is he? That kind of thing. But, what can we do? Now, Brett, he of the dice. Now, let's face it, we are nearly 5 years old. We are nearly 5 years old, which is old enough to stop offending adults. However, we're not quite 5 years old yet, so Brett's going to do it anyway. If we haven't done blasphemy before, I get a feeling we might be just about to.
Now here we are at St Joseph's Catholic Church in Highgate, and given the situation with Watford at the moment, I have come to the altar of Christ at St Joseph's Catholic Church in order to hopefully come out with a decent outcome where Watford win against Oxford at home. I'm going to roll both dice at the same time, and Oxford are blue, Watford are yellow and red. Here we go. Come on, Christ. Oh, that's Watford is 6. It's still spinning. 6. That's none to Watford. Watford 0. Oxford 5. 5-0 to Oxford. Thanks a lot, Christ. I guess that's the operative word.
I mean, I was fine until he went, come on, Christ.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't great, was it? I mean, in fairness, Arsenal have got Jesus, so, why not? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not an authority figure on the world's religions. However, I'm fairly sure that rolling dice, I'm sure there's something against that when you go to an altar and do that. Yeah. Anyway, there we go.
This is why you don't see many craps games at Holy Communion, Peter. This is But well done to Brett for breaking convention, as we're quite used to now. And bearing in mind, 2 of those dice have been down the toilet previously. Thanks.
Well, in fairness, I would suggest that if there is divine intervention, that's probably had more to do with the 5-0 prediction.
Yes.
For the visitors rather than us. Never mind. What can we do? Well, the Patreons who are doing very well. Jason Rose lives out Oxfordshire way, so we have a little bit of insider knowledge here, keeping it in the family. Here's Jason.
Good morning, Peter, Justin, Carl, and the DNSYE family. Morning after Portsmouth 2, Watford 2, and I've been asked to do the patrons prediction for the Oxford game. Being a local guy, this is Didcot, knocking at Didcot. It's Boundary Park on Didcot. Here with my trusty steed, Freddie. I have a little bit of inside information on our visitors on Saturday, Oxford, because my would-be son-in-law Harry is an Oxford season ticket holder. Obviously, they were playing the same time as us last night against QPR. One thing I did sort of glean from it when we were chatting was they're going to cause us problems from free kicks and set pieces, which, as we all know, we're so good at defending. So I do feel as if this is quite wide open, because you never know what we're going to get with us. Even last night, as we all know, with the Iracunda thing at 33 minutes, and then he seemed to pull it round, and then Selvik let one go through his hands for the Desmond. So I actually think on Saturday it's going to be a draw. I actually think it's going to be Watford 1, Oxford 1. I think, before Justin asks, I think Imran Loser will score for us, and I think we will concede from a set piece. I know we don't get any bonus points for that, but I feel that's what's going to happen. So Petsolano out, please. Thank you, out. Bye-bye.
Well, that was good. Hopefully the dog doesn't do anything on that pitch. I like the way you're allowed to just walk all over Didcot's pitch. That's quite nice.
I think there's some words of advice for blasphemous Brett, as we shall now call him. I mean, that's surely the way to do it. You're on a football pitch of a non-league team, kind of he's up the pyramid. That's quite good. Dogs, always a bonus. I think we're very pleased with the dogs, and of course, sits there with, gives us a 1-1 because he can this year. None of your 5-0 to the opposition nonsense.
Wow.
Honestly, Brett, what are you doing? But you know what that means? So far, before even DNSYE try to carry on with their renaissance in this rubbish, we've already had Watford win predictions. We've had Oxford United win predictions, and we've had a draw. So points will already be allocated. But Justin, due to the Wi-Fi problem at Carl James's house,
Yes.
This one is down to you. Now, your season so far, in terms of predictions and in terms of gameplay, has been, quite frankly, Southampton excluding, shocking. What are you going to do to make good on it?
Well, he's not going to get 7 points from 9, is he? So he's not.
Welcome to doom, everybody.
He's not. He's not. And of course that then sets it up for a cliffhanger, doesn't it, over the international break? Will he go? Will he not go? So I'll go with the draw as well. I'm going to go with a 0-0, Peter. It's going to be a bore draw.
So basically, you went 0-0 last time. You've got 2 points.
Yes.
And so basically, you're simply repeating that until that particular curse is broken.
Now that you're pointing it out, it could be perceived as that. Yeah. No, I just think it's we're not scoring freely. It'd be nice to have a clean sheet. This could be the first clean sheet, which would be nice because we haven't had a clean sheet yet. So let's go with a 0-0, and fingers crossed that it's an interesting 0-0 and not a boring one.
There you go. Well, the plan to make this quick, and that didn't work, did it? I'm very sorry.
Didn't it? Yeah.
Hanging on about nonsense and rubbish, but there we go. Anyway, look. So what's the plans vis-a-vis the bunker and the Red Lion and the family zone? Who knows? We've now got places to go, though. That's a lot of fun.
We seem to gravitate towards the family zone, don't we? So if you want to be involved in our reels, I don't know if you follow us on TikTok. If you don't, why not? You should. But we do some little sort of short reels and stuff down at the family zone, normally down there about 1:30. So if you want to get involved in that and be plastered all over TikTok, then do come down and source one of us, because at least one of us can go, oh, we're doing that over there. Look, he's over there, sort of thing. It'd be good to get some new voices on, actually, because someone did say, oh, you always get your mates on, dear. Well, no, it's just because they're the only people that we sort of go, you'll come on, won't you? There is footage of some guy walking away last week, which is quite funny. Carl sort of pinned a microphone in this place. Go, no, I don't want to get involved in that. And he's walked off with the mic. Can you come back? You got me mic on. Come back. So please do follow us on TikTok. Also, please do like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel as well. There's also a hype button now, apparently, which is wonderful. I don't quite know what it does, but I see lots of YouTubers going, press the hype button. So please press the hype button, see what it does. We've got some more predictions in. I think Oxford will win 3-1, but if that gets rid of Paolo, then so be it. I think a lot of people were hoping we lost last night, so he went. I think there might have been a little bit of that. Oh, good. Well, that gets rid of him. And then when we win, it's like,
well, we didn't. We drew. We didn't.
Sorry, but we were winning, and then we drew. Yeah, but I mean, I think there was a bit of a that's another week to wait sort of thing. But he might start getting us into 5th, 4th place or whatever. I don't know. It's football.
Who knows? We've never had a review based solely on the Prediction League. I'm not sure this properly counts, but I think Jesse's kind of really sending us subliminal messages about the entire Prediction League. Here comes the poo in the post box. I mean, it could be exceptional. That'd be cool.
What you do on your estate is up to you. That's all I'm going to say.
Final question though from Steve Champion, because he asked it ages ago. He said, "Any latest thoughts from Deeney and Maps when you saw them?" Well, we've got these. You see, do not scratch your eyes, man. And I got one of those signed. There's only one in the world, and it's going to TJD Design, because they'd made that design for everybody, and have allowed us to use and abuse it, and done loads of things with the 1881. So I'm going to be it's good. I'm going to be able to go and say hello. That's part of what I'll be doing near the family zone / bunker on Saturday. They were on great form. They were on really, really good form. There was it was done along the lines of the older version of a sort of an almost like at your place, which was like, look, to take photos after, but nothing now. Don't. there were some revelations that came out, yes, principally without going into numbers, because they just don't make any sense in the normal world. Was, you know, Troy's thoughts were that that he gave us some ideas around, from being a captain and what he had to do around the bonuses and the like for that, and, you know, the issue that followed the FA Cup, and the potential cultural impact that made. And as he has said, you know, he thought that was heavily influential in terms of the following season, which, as we all remember, was frigging awful, to be quite frank, and saw us relegated and where we are now. So without going into full numbers, Maps was great fun. It was a lovely night. It was there to raise money for you know, a fantastic cause for somebody at Leverstock Green Cricket Club that everybody will know, whose family have had an issue, and therefore it was there to raise money for the Bruyne appeal. And you know, it was a good night had by all. It was a great way of raising some money and awareness, etc. So any other thoughts from you there?
No, only that it's always fun to spend any time in the company of Troy Deeney. I mean, if you watch him on interviews and things, I mean, he's just fantastic company. Very funny, very sharp, very witty. He seemed to enjoy making fun of Maps's veganism. That seemed to be a running theme throughout the evening.
For a man who managed Forest Green Rovers for a short time,
that wasn't lost on me.
I mean, you know, come on, that was 6 weeks of his life where he was like going, "Oh, I've just written so much material. Where's Maps?" And then
exactly. So I'm not going to add anything more to it other than I always enjoy spending time in Troy Deeney's company, and Maps as well. Both very, very nice people, genuinely down to earth, couldn't do enough kind of people. So, and he did remember spending 4 hours with us on a podcast, which was nice as well, because he did say to Maps, "Have you been on?" And he went, "Yeah, I went on with Lloyd." And he went, "I bet you didn't do 4 hours, did you?" No, they didn't do 4 hours. No, you know, I did that on my own. Yes, you did. But no, all good stuff. Right. So I suppose that brings us to sort of wrapping up time now.
I think so for certain.
Yeah, do come and see us though at the Family Zone before the game. We're not that bad. We don't ask people questions they don't know the answer to. It's normally a bit of frothy fun. There's normally one to do with Watford and one silly question. You may have seen Carl asking Egil Selvik who would play him in a movie. And he picked Brad Pitt. So, you know, it's silly little things like that, really. We try and have some fun with it as well. So do come and seek us out before the game, and we'll try and get you involved in that. And enjoy the game if you're going on Saturday. We'll be back with the post-match phone-in after the game. Probably about, it is a 3 o'clock, isn't it, on Saturday, Peter?
It'll be about 5:20. Something
5:20.
Depending on how fast you know, the traffic moves, but
yeah, depending on those temporary traffic lights down the Whippendale Road. Yeah, no, it's not that road. It's another one. Don't worry, there's no temporary traffic lights down the Whippendale Road. Thank you very much for listening. We will be back on Saturday. See you at the ground. You Orns.